Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Out for Blood. And we are entering Chapter 9, guys, Alone in the Crowd. Now, in the last stream, we were able to find out that Chastain was not the only kindred in the city limits. We actually have a large group of Thin Bloods out there, and against our better judgment, we've decided to at least loosely cooperate with them. And the kind of ripples that that'll have down the line, who knows, but let's go ahead and see what happens. What a blessed if painful thing, this business of being alive. Joe Hill, NOS4A2, Nosferatu. Rays of sunlight shine across your eyes, rousing you awake. As you move out of the direct sunlight, Salem stirs next to you. She yawns and stretches, fanning her arms out and leaning back so far you have to catch her from rolling off the couch. The two of you share a laugh as you pull her on top of you. She touches your face, rubbing your cheek. Morning. Can't believe how well I slept. She lifts her phone from an end table. As she stares at the screen, her eyes go wide. She sits up and says, "Shit. I told my mom I'd take her to the store this morning and then to a doctor's appointment. My mother takes her sweet time shopping, and if we're late to Dr. Lobo, she'll make us sit there for hours. It's just for routine blood work, so I don't know why we even need an appointment." You suspect Dr. Lobo is trafficking the blood she collects from her patients. Does Mrs. Morelli really need her blood work for medical reasons, or for Lobo's profit? Hearing that Salem is taking her mother, you say, "Ooh, being able to go to the clinic would be interesting." Is your mom okay? I don't mean to pry, but is she being treated for something? Inquisitive +3. Salem takes a deep breath and sighs. Hey, Amaranth. Last year she got diagnosed with some kind of blood condition. We thought it was cancer, but Dr. Lobo assured us it wasn't. We're going to get a second opinion from this big cancer doc at Northwestern, but somehow Dr. Lobo found out about it and convinced my mom not to waste her time. So now Mom goes every 2 months for blood work, and they take a lot, like a whole bag, like when you donate to the Red Cross. I'm just glad she's doing okay. I'm glad she's doing well too. Her phone chimes with a text message. Salem slaps her forehead and chuckles. I know, Mom, I know. She leans over and kisses you. She stays there for a long moment, her lips moving around yours. When she pulls away, you can still taste her. She rises and adjusts her clothes, wrinkled by a night of sleeping on the couch. She runs her hands through her hair, and you walk her to the door. Footsteps come down the stairs, and you turn to see Jace. Oh, hey! What's up? Jace says and steps over to you and Salem. He waves to her and says, I'm Jace. I'm renting the room upstairs. Oh, cool. I'm Salem. Nice to meet you. Oh, good to meet you. I hope I didn't wake you two when I came in last night. It was late. Salem shakes her head. Not me. I slept like a baby. Nice. Morgan, I'm actually heading out for a bit to run some errands, but I'll be back soon. Nice to meet you, Salem. As Jace walks out, Salem turns to you and says, He seems nice. You told Salem and the rest of your friends about Monroe, but not about her group of young vampires. What would she think of a vampire living in your house while he was here sleeping? Let's see. What's our stats here? Composure. What was it? Composure and persuasion? Now, not all of these situations that require rolls are the correct one, really. But we do not have enough persuasion to really make that viable. We don't have the composure. So for right now, I'm not going to tell her. I don't want to worry her about a vampire living with me. Remember, we're trying to keep her stress levels down. Kind-hearted +4, cynical +10. Salem's already stressed out about vampires in Jericho Heights. Telling her Jace lives here will only add to that stress. Yeah, he's a great tenant. She nods and kisses you again. A quick one that barely touches your lips. The street is quiet, and it's already warm outside. Traffic flows on the side street, and the ground's still wet from the night before. Your clothes stick to you, but the sunlight feels good against your skin. As Salem walks away, you take a deep breath of morning air. You had a good night's sleep and feel recharged in body and mind. Woot! Health +2, willpower +2. This is the last opportunity you have to use your experience points, so spend them wisely. Oh god. Okay. Well, we're full up on our health and willpower. That's good. We're not going to have enough to... Yeah, we may have to have it. We only have enough to put it in insight, really. Insight or leadership. We don't have enough, though. We only have 8. It costs 9 together to get our leadership up to... Maybe our background? It cost, oh wow, 4 to raise our resources. I don't think we have a choice. I think insight is where it needs to go. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Because we, just real quick though, I do want to check. Yeah, it's like 10 to raise an attribute. Read body language and facial expressions to perceive the emotions, honesty, and motives of others. That might come in handy a little bit later on. Which gives us 2 points left and nothing to really spend it on. So here we go. Our wits and resolve, manipulation, charisma. I accept the new ranks. And the story continues. You scan the local news on your phone. Summer Festival is coming up. And then you see a top story. A body found. At approximately 9 p.m. last evening, the body of 18-year-old Royal Coleman was found dead in his car in the Serenity Park section of Jericho Heights. An anonymous call came into the police, who investigated and found the star football player's body at the scene. Cause of death awaits the coroner's report, but early indications show no signs of foul play. As a quarterback of the football team for Jericho Heights High School, Royal was well known in the community. Glancing out your window, you spot Jace walking outside and heading toward the east side of Jericho Heights. You wonder where he's going. Setting down your phone, you consider how you like to spend your day. First, you... Oh man, we got a lot of stuff here to do, we can do. Find out who's working for Chastain. Go to Dr. Lobo's to investigate the blood lab. Follow Jace to see where he goes. Go to cemetery. Yeah, I was thinking that too, Kath. Go to the cemetery to visit grandfather. Seeing him may provide you with the clarity you'll need. Watch Gabriel to see his activities during the day, visit Marcus at the Army-Navy store, visit the sheriff's office with Lacey, or work in the store. Yeah, I think a visit with Lacey may do good. Let's go ahead and go to the cemetery first. That's fairly interesting to me. Serenity Park is a small cemetery within Jericho Heights for use by any of the town people. It opened in 1991, and plots were purchased in perpetuity by a number of Jericho's families, such that most of the area on the western side is open field waiting for the dead to arrive, whenever they may be. Your grandfather's buried at the top of the Eastern Hill along with his two brothers who died many years before him. As you pass through a line of trees, you spot an older woman standing by your grandfather's grave. She has long brown hair which flows down her back, but is shaved at the sides, giving the appearance of a mullet. Her shirt reads Barlow Construction. You remember her as a friend of your grandfather's whom you saw on a few occasions. Hi, Mrs. Barlow. What are you doing here? What's it look like? I'm visiting your Gramps. She walks to the headstone and clears off a few dried leaves lying on it. Call me Ginny. I can't stand formality. Okay, Ginny. You stand there for a few minutes and memories of your grandfather come to the forefront of your mind as you knew they would. You remember the first time visiting him like it was yesterday. You remember every time you visited, each summer shaping some part of your younger years. When he taught you how to play dominoes in the park near City Hall, your first camping trip when you sprained your ankle. You begged him to carry you, but instead he taught you how to wrap the ankle for support and then how to make a temporary crutch. You walked home on your own 3 feet, head held high. Even the simple things like the way he cooked perfectly folded omelets. All good memories in their own way. And you knew coming here would brighten them all up to bring them all up to the surface. Ginny circles to the other side of the grave. She snorts and spits into the grass. When she glances at you, she has a look as if to say, "What?" Instead, she says, "I need to get going. Good seeing you. If you need any help with your shop or your house, give me a call. It's got good bones, but needs some loving." Before she leaves, you seem to have time to ask her a question. Ooh, what do you guys think? This may be the only time we can ask for clarification on some of this. We already know that the sheriff and the mayor are being influenced by the vampires. I don't think that's going to really change anything. We're just going to get confirmation on stuff that I guess doesn't really matter. I think maybe asking about the relationship, while a bit outright there, is interesting. So let's go with that. You and my grandfather seem to have had a pretty close relationship. Were you more than just friends? Her mouth spreads into a thin smile. Some may call it a relationship. I call it making whoopee when we both had the hankering. Take in a quick gulp of air and cough. Making whoopee? She shrugs. I don't know what people your age call it. You gotta remember, we were both married for a long time and lost our partners. After my Henry died, I was alone for years. Then your grandfather lost your Grams. We got friendly when we both got involved in Habitat for Humanity. Thank you, Jimmy Carter. Turned into a friendship, and then I thought, why not? He was alone, I was alone, and all of our plumbing was working. You wave your hands. I don't need to know all the details. I'm glad you two enjoyed each other's company. It wasn't always easy. There were things in your grandfather's life that pulled him away from meaningful relationships. He had this vendetta that just kept him sidetracked, she says, and then looks away from you. Vendetta? That sounds serious. Ginny lets out a nervous laugh. Forget I said anything. I don't know much about it. Your grandfather didn't get along with everybody in this town, and he didn't care how powerful they were. One thing you could say about Oliver is that he was too stubborn for his own good. But listen, I have to head out. I'll see you soon. Good luck with your store. Ginny walks down the eastern hill and leaves you alone with your grandfather. Ginny was right. It's peaceful here, and your grandfather's a good listener. You tell him all about the week you've had. The wind blows more leaves over his grave, and you clear them off before leaving for home. We need to work. I'm afraid we're going to lose the store, so I think we need to go work at it. I don't know how many of these we're going to get. I'm going to say maybe 3, 4 tops. So I do want to find out who's working for Chastain. That's like the big question for me right now. But let's do the store first. You return to your store to find Lamb aligning items on a shelf. As you walk in, he looks over at you and nods. Before anything else, you check the cash receipts and find that the store made $750 today. You also read a note from Lamb that he's ordered more inventory, started processing online orders, and restocked most of the shelves. He's been invaluable to your business, especially since you've been so distracted. Well, we need to talk to Lamb. Ooh, we use our grandfather's hidden room. Holy crap, it's an entire new list of things to do. Okay, talk to Lamb first. You find Lamb dusting a shelf in the back of the store. Though he rarely shows emotions, he has slumped shoulders and his gaze seems unfocused. When you approach, he keeps his stare on the shelf and circles a cloth over the surface with slow and deliberate wipes. Hi there, Lamb. Did everything go okay at your doctor's appointment? Lamb turns to you and says, sorry, my mind is in a fog. My appointment went well. The doctor was 33 minutes late. I always find it inconceivable how they are allowed to waste my time with tardiness, though I would lose my appointment if I'm 15 minutes late. Well, I'm glad everything went well, even if the doctor was late. I don't mean to pry, but you look a bit off. Is everything else okay? He folds his arms and leans against the wall. I shouldn't burden you, but if you really want to know, family problems. What kind of family problems? My parents haven't been seeing eye to eye lately. They want to separate, and it's put a strain on my family. My mother's marketing company is going well, but she doesn't want to support my father. He just started his own law practice and he doesn't have many clients yet. A real estate law firm is difficult to establish in this kind of market. I've given him the money I've saved for a new computer, but that will only cover his rent and some utilities for a month or so. It's possible I'll need to take a second job while I'm still working here. Would a raise help here? I can give you a few more dollars per hour and bump up your commission. Idealistic +5. Narrow relationship with Lamb +5. Lamb's eyes narrow. No. Well, I mean, yes, but of course a raise and higher commission would help, but I wouldn't ask for it. I haven't even worked for you a week and couldn't renegotiate my salary. Unlike my mother, I'm a man of my word. I appreciate your offer, but I'll take another job if I must. My work here will not be affected. Lamb, it would be more costly for me if you were to take a second job than for me to pay you more. You take care of the entire store, so if you change your mind, we can talk about your compensation. Lamb points to the cloth in your hand and holds out his hand for it. I should not bother you with my problems. I'll get back to cleaning and restocking the shelves. What do you guys think? I really hope that we didn't just skip a whole bunch of that other stuff that we could have done. Like, going to the store would be, like, the final option. Let's use, we have got these contacts. We haven't really got to use them. Let's go for it. Call one of my contacts, Phil Clark, occult scholar, to discuss the vampire threat. Path of knowledge +5. You haven't spoken to Phil in over a year over a minor disagreement you don't even recall now. You miss browsing the aisles of his occult shop, bloody driven. When you call his shop, his assistant takes down your name and number, and you expect never to hear from him, but less than a minute later, your phone rings. Well, if it isn't my old friend, it took you long enough to reach out to me. Are you still upset at me? He asks. You haven't heard his voice in so long, you've forgotten what it sounded like. The gruff, gravelly tone and the fast pace. He speaks so quickly, it's always been hard to keep up. I don't even remember what we were arguing about. Well, it's in the past. So what can I do for you? I'd like to get your opinion on something, but it's hard to explain. I recently moved to a small town where I had family, and some events have happened that make me believe in the supernatural. Based on your background and experience, I'm wondering, have you ever dealt with supernatural forces? There's a pause, and you're expecting an emotional reply of either laughter or outrage. His reaction is even more shocking. Yes, I have in fact seen a thing or two in my day. Before I go on, what exactly are we talking about? This is a bit hard for me to say. Phil has lost all character in his voice and speaks plainly. Well, best to rip off the band-aid. No judgment. You give a brief description of your interactions with vampires in Jericho Heights. You idly wonder if someone might be listening or recording this conversation, so you keep it as vague as possible while providing some basic details to Phil. Well, I can't say I've ever met one in the flesh, or dead flesh as it were. I've met someone here in Chicago who I suspected of being one, but I could never ever confirm it. What kind of advice are you looking for? I don't believe they're evil, but I want to know the truth. I want to understand them and learn all I can about their condition. I see. Well, I can't say I'm an expert on the topic, but I can tell you some of what I know from my research. As such beings are in a way cursed to a novel form of existence. Their origins are obscure and they have been around for millennia. Would you be surprised if I told you they have infiltrated all parts of society in every country and every political faction? I can't tell you to reconsider your interests, but they hide from humanity and will do anything to remain in the shadows. If you study them, you be careful. You tell no one else. That is a lot to take in, Bill. Thank you for your insight. By the way, are you going to tell me what our argument was about? Phil laughs. We were debating whether or not religion is a necessity for a moral society. The discussion became heated, and I think we both agree. You can be a good person without faith, but you have to believe in something. I think this proves it. Good luck to you, my friend. You hang up the phone and continue your work. Alright. Are we besties with Mothman? I kind of want to either use Granddad's hidden room or track Kira through her Instagram account. Which one do you think, guys? By the way, oh, sorry. I am drinking a Guinness Nitro cold brewed coffee. It is delicious. Highly recommended. Yeah, we vampire-proof the house and you're not getting your rent back. Let's use Granddad's hidden room. I want to see what's in it. You head into your grandfather's office to access the hidden room he kept for you for all these years. Every summer when he told you he was running an errand or visiting a friend, was he secretly inside this occult museum? Or his laboratory? You hear the light pitter-patter of footsteps against the hardwood floors. Hex prowls inside the office and hops up into your grandfather's chair. You reach over and pet her along the length of her back, and her purr fills the quiet room. Relationship with Hex +7, haha! Circling the chair, you find the hidden section of the pocket door and slide it back to once again reveal the chamber. It's still difficult to believe it's here, but in a way you're glad your grandfather set it up. With the knowledge that vampires exist, you have to figure out how you can leverage this room. Ooh. I can spend some willpower right now and use my scrying ability to look for someone. Repair malware to take over a computer. Let's do it. We got full willpower. We might as well use it. Grandpa gives willpower. Grandpa takes it away. You've never witnessed your grandfather locating someone through supernatural means, but you know he possessed the talent. Once when you were 9, you ran away from home after failing a test. You wanted to avoid punishment and thought it best to run away rather than deal with the consequences. 2 hours after leaving home, you made it as far as 2 towns over by stowing away in the back of a covered truck. The driver would stop at a gas station and you'd snuck into the trailer. No one could have seen you, since you left no trail. But as the truck pulled into the next rest stop, your grandfather stood by the pumps waiting for you. On your way back home, he said something that resonated with you for the rest of your life. No one in this world can hide from an all-seeing eye. Seems like one of those outlandish statements your grandfather would make to put fear into you or add to his larger-than-life persona. As the years passed, though, you thought about those words and came to realize he was telling the truth. It wasn't until your own training in the world of the occult that you knew everything he told you was true. Familiar with the process of scrying a target, you look around your grandfather's secret space for the tools you'll need. Lying on a high shelf, a wide wooden bowl lies upside down among other items used in occult rituals. You take down the bowl and fill it with spring water. You add several drops of oil from bottles found in his collection and light a series of candles in a designated arrangement around the bowl. As the vapors rise into your nose, you feel yourself drift into an altered state of consciousness. Tapping the middle of the water with your index finger, you watch the ripples travel outward as you focus on the target of your location. Ooh. We got an interesting list here. We can find out where Chastain is right now. She's probably asleep, I would imagine. Jace, we could see where he was going. Eric, Jayfield, Kira, Perry, and Monroe. Those are all the young vampires. Jayfield's the ghoul, I believe. What do you guys think? Who should we track? I think this is probably like a Chastain could be interesting. Maybe even give you... I mean, Chastain's the obvious answer, right? Let's see. And she's a Toreador, so she shouldn't have blood magic? Let's do it. Oh, good God! An image of a room shapes on the water's surface. A bedroom so dark you can barely make out any of the shapes inside it. A dresser, a standing closet, a changing screen, pieces of furniture take up the wall space, making the narrow confines even smaller. Against one wall lies a bed, and on it, a figure, Chastain. This is where she sleeps. It must be Bleak Rest House. You watch for a short while, but with the sun up, Chastain remains asleep. The surface of the water shimmers and swells, and the image of it wanes until it leaves nothing but a calm surface with your own reflection. That sucks. Oh well. Intelligence and industry, science and technology. Let's prepare malware to take over a computer. Before you moved to Jericho Heights, you took part in a virtual group of software engineers. Your group joined as a means to further your own knowledge of coding and network security. Over the months, you worked with the others to create a tool that can rapidly take over any system to which it was introduced. Some members created secure servers for others to break into. You were on the crew of crackers whose job was to find security holes and hackers expose weaknesses in the system they set up. Your team created a novel piece of malware called Take 6, since it was the 6th version of the software. It was simple and compact. Once introduced into an operating system, it infiltrated the root and installed itself to allow an external user with the correct credentials to take over the computer and any peripherals attached to it. While everyone in your group agreed to destroy Take 6 at the end of the assignment, you kept it on a USB flash drive, as you're sure many others did. And we can create a simple poison. Many common materials and chemicals can be used to make a poison, though you're not sure what may work on the undead. Based on your scientific research and studies, you know of several poisons that affect the bloodstream with rapid results. You theorize that enhancing one of these simple poisons may work on vampires and humans alike. You spend half an hour mixing several chemicals and adding catalyst to activate it when necessary. Until it's used, it'll remain inert inside a vial which you conceal in your backpack. Now, I wouldn't try this against a kindred, but I would use it against a ghoul. So that's a little bit of out-of-player knowledge, but if I get those options, I know which one I'm going for. Okay, I'm done with the room now. Let's protect. Whoop. With the number of supernatural threats in Jericho Heights, you need a way to protect your grandfather's house and store. Simple locks won't keep out vampires. You spend the next hour tightening all of the locks on the many doors around the property and blocking the windows with 2x4s to make them difficult to open from the outside. You replace a broken latch on a basement window and reinforce the wood under the ledge to make it more difficult for someone to pry open. A few days ago, you set up your home security system, so you go through the house and make sure it's all working. None of the sensors have been tripped or lost power, and you'd be notified if either of those occurred. In addition to the physical security, you know of a ritual to protect your dwelling. By sprinkling common salt around the perimeter and chanting an incantation, you form a barrier against those who would seek to do you harm. It has no effect against friends or customers or even those supernatural beings with positive intentions. Lucky for Jace, you consider him a friend. When you finish, you feel content with the level of security, though you certainly cannot predict who or what may invade your home. We could track Kira via the Instagram account. When you met the young vampires, you noticed Kira taking selfies and photos throughout the entire ordeal. She engaged more with her phone than you or the other members of her group. She mentioned something about 300,000 followers, so it's reasonable to believe she has an Instagram account where she's posting all of these photos for likes and follows. How do you go about finding a vampire on social media? Surprisingly, it takes about 30 seconds. Since all of her posts during your meeting with the young vampires took place in Long Valley Park, you would expect some level of geo-tracking to capture her location. You bring up one of your favorite local search engines, Find It Pro, and do a quick keyword search for Kira, Chicago, or Jericho Heights and followers greater than 300,000. Only one result appears. Clicking the link, you see Kira's picture posted last night. She lies in bed between a young man and a woman with the tag, #Can'tChooseJustOne. It's a provocative photo showing lots of skin, though sheets and pillows hide anything that would invoke a content filter. Switching back to Find It Pro, you bring up a resource panel that provides the coordinates where she posted the photo. Putting the location into another search bar, you find it a Hampton Inn near Northern Illinois University. Now that you have her location, you mark it down in your laptop and move on to other tasks. Hey, Sparta. Okay, should we read local news? I mean, the local news is just going to tell us about the body that was found. Should we go ahead and say that we're done, or read autobiography of the hunter? I don't know if this is like causing time to pass, you know what I mean, and removing our other options. I mean, we've already in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's do it. Path of Knowledge +9. You sit on the couch with Hex curled up next to you and open the cover of the book. It'll take more than one sitting, but you hope to get through a few chapters and find some of the information you may need. Your first chapter delves into Annis Keen's childhood and how a young girl from Cincinnati moved around the country from city to city with her family, never fitting in, and leading an isolated young life. I did actually 2 playthroughs of VTM Bloodlines. The first playthrough was the first series I ever did on YouTube, so I hate watching it, or even hate hearing it, because I wasn't comfortable. And then I did one years later of VTM Bloodlines with a Clan Quest mod. I played a Ventrue Anti-Tribute, and it was very fun. I really enjoyed that. Okay. You skip ahead a few chapters and read about her position as Vice President of Marketing at CNA Financial Corporation. You skim the paragraphs until your eyes fall across the word vampire. Keen talks about her first encounter with them one night outside a nightclub. They followed her out to her car, forced their way inside, and took turns drinking from her. They left her for dead, but she was found the next morning by the police. You keep reading, and though she doesn't come right out and write it in the text, you piece together she had some kind of psychological break. She quit her job, sold her townhouse, and set herself up outside Chicago. Chapter 8 provides a list of herbs and plants found in the woods of Illinois, useful for curing minor cuts and ailments. She includes recipes for creating homemade explosives and designs for their trigger devices. You flip past sketches for something called a hanging trap, and move towards the last few chapters where she talks about the one subject on your mind. Oh, excited for Bloodlines 2? Yeah, eventually. Whenever they decide to get it done. I long ago deduced that vampires prey on vulnerable people. Combine that with the fact they feed at night, and it became clear why vampires love cities. Whether it's people who are out of town, out on the town like me, or down on their luck homeless people, cities present vampires with ample prey. Evaluating my options, I decided to stake out a homeless shelter in East Pilsen. A few cups of coffee and a kind smile quickly ingratiated me to the inhabitants. Soon I learned that an old veteran named Clive was being treated at the shelter for chronic anemia by the resident clinician? I've never heard that. Okay. I suspected foul play. After he recovered for a few nights, I followed him across South Branch to a fueling center for big rigs. He went into a trailer covered in graffiti and propped on cement blocks. I had a gut feeling something was about to go down, and I took out my old trusty Raging Bull 44 Magnum Taurus revolver. Circling to the front of the trailer, I peeked inside and saw an individual crouching in the shadows. His skin was waxy like a melting candle. He was hideously deformed, with bulging eyes at the edge of their sockets, and his ears were covered over with a membrane. Though I thought I was well hidden, it became clear he had seen me. His eyes began to glow in the darkness of the trailer. I raised my revolver and told him to get out and get on the ground. Instead, he raised his hands, and I heard an unearthly chattering from all around me. Small brownish shapes came out of the drain pipes, from the trailers, and out of piles of debris. A swarm of rats. They moved from all sides and rushed at me. I turned and ran the only way possible, back towards the street outside of the fueling center. I heard them behind me, but I moved with all powers of self-preservation and didn't stop until I reached a highway overpass. I flagged down a passing car and rode a safe distance away. When I made it back to my apartment, I was a pile of nerves. Sweating, chest pounding, mouth as dry as a box of crackers. I took a bottle of gin to calm me down. Linikian. All I could see was that face and those red eyes staring at me. It was a vampire. He was drinking Clive's blood, and I knew I had to stop it. That was a Nosferatu with animalism. You skip ahead and come to a strangely organized section of the book with notes and scribblings describing the strengths and weaknesses of vampires. 1. Vampires are not just hideous monsters hiding in the shadows. They can be your neighbor, your priest, your congressperson. They can change their form and their appearance. 2. Only 2 things can kill a vampire: sunlight and fire. Anything else can harm them, but won't keep them down. I've shot a bloodsucker point blank with a shotgun only to watch it zip away faster than I can blink my eyes. A bullet to the brain or a stake to the heart will knock them out, but you need to burn them or stick them outside the sun to do the final job. Actually, false. You can behead one too. Hey, Juan, long time no see. 3. Vampires can mesmerize the weak-willed. With a simple stare or phrase, they can force you to do their bidding, with dominate, or presence. 4. Forget about Dracula and other stories of vampires, because most of it is hokum. I've chased vampires across running water and had them break into my home uninvited. They show up in mirrors, and I've captured them on film. The only thing those tales get right is their need for blood. You read a few more pages, but the writing grows more rambling the farther you go. Checking your watch, you see an hour has passed. You've spent enough time reading and need to move on to other things. Should we read the local news or call that good, guys? Like I said, I don't want to have a lot of time pass. I'm hoping that we can go back out and do that other list. I don't think the local news is going to reveal anything. So I'm just going to go... Okay, cool. Woo! As you drive back to your house, you flip on the radio to WBEZ, public radio for the Chicago area. Gruesome discovery in Jericho Heights today when the body of a missing teenager was found in Long Valley Park. Police have yet to identify the body. A pair of joggers found it in a secluded area of woods. No other details have been provided at this time due to the age of the victim and to respect the wishes of the It can only be Tyler Sanders. At least the young vampires did what you asked, and hopefully Tyler's family has closure. When you arrive, when you arrive home, you walk into the store just as the mail carrier arrives for the day. He hands you several letters and you flip through them. One comes from Jericho Heights Wellness Clinic. Opening it, you find a handwritten note which simply states, "A shipment is ready. Pick up any time after 11 a.m. Ooh, okay, so we can either find out who's working for Chastain to remove any trace of her on the internet. We have that virus now that should help. Go to Dr. Lobo's Wellness Clinic to investigate the blood lab. We're going to have to do that probably eventually. Follow Jace. Watch Gabriel to see his activities during the day. Visit Marcus at the Army-Navy store, or visit the sheriff's office with Lacey. What do y'all think? Lacey? Yeah, we do need to keep her stressed. Can we... I tried to do this before, but can we actually... We can't see their... Yeah. We can't see their stress levels. So let's visit the sheriff's office with Lacey. As you're heading over to the sheriff's office, you text Lacey to let her know you're on your way. You've never actually seen the inside of the building. As the sheriff's office for DeKalb County, this one office coordinates close to 50 deputies for criminal investigations and evictions, and another 50 for highway patrol. Jericho itself is a fairly safe place, and from what your grandfather told you, the sheriff's department handles mostly drunk driving and domestic disputes inside the town proper. Turning onto Burns Road, a square white building comes into view, and you park a few cars back from the entrance. Suzanne, thank you for gifting that tier 1 sub to Sparta. Remember guys, all bit subs and ad revenue that is earned here on Twitch goes to help out my local children's hospital via the Extra Life charity. So thank you for supporting the channel and for supporting the kids. I'm greatly appreciative. Turning onto Burns Road, the square white building comes into view, and you park a few cars back from the entrance. Lacey parks right behind you and meets you on the sidewalk. She steps up next to you and flashes a friendly smile. I called ahead and made an appointment with Sheriff Ray. I told him it relates to public well-being. So what's our game plan in there? She takes a pack of cigarettes out of her pocket, pulls out a cigarette, and lights it. Extra Life. We need to be subtle about this, otherwise we're going to end up in a jail cell and can't help anyone. We ask questions and feel him out. We can't outright talk about vampires, but we can find out what he knows. Pulsive plus 11. I agree. We can't just go in there and talk about vampires or he'll throw us right out, Lacey says, taking a hard drag on her cigarette. Sheriff Ray's a smart guy. He knows what's going on in this town. If we ask the right questions, he'll have no choice but to give us answers. The Sheriff's Department SUV pulls in front of the building, its red lights flashing. Deputy April Maya and another officer you don't recognize step outside and pull a man from the back of the vehicle. He's handcuffed and staggers like he's drunk. Is that Skeeter Denby? Wasn't he a sheriff's deputy at one point? Lacey asks. Never heard of him. Each deputy loops under one of his arms. He resists and they struggle to walk him into the front of the building. When they half drag him past you, the man mumbles something under his breath. He turns and spits at Lacey, though she steps out of the way. Deputy Maya grabs a wad of his wild hair and faces him forward. Let's go. They pull him inside the building and you wait a few minutes outside while Lacey finishes her cigarette. What was that all about? She asks, putting out the cigarette. No idea. You enter the building to a sterile waiting area with white floors and beige wallpaper, peeling where it meets the ceiling. You see a poster for the summer festival pinned to the corkboard, and an image of April Maya next to it under the heading Deputy of the Month for October. An American flag and the state flag of Illinois hang in the corner. A wooden desk stands at the back of the room, and where sits a short, dark-skinned, bald man in a deputy's uniform staring at a computer monitor. Can I help you? Lacey Pendleton and Morgan Lee here to see Sheriff Ray. We have an appointment. Yeah, one moment. He says and looks back at the monitor. A few keystrokes later and he stands. Follow me. Sheriff's finishing up with a conference call, but you can wait outside his office. You follow him through a door into a wide open room the width of the entire building. Numerous desks, many empty, fill up the space in an irregular pattern. Some are wrapped with shoulder-high partitions. Two enormous tables take up the middle length of the room. On the far right is a roped section with camera equipment and several desks. Skeeter Denby stands against a blank wall while Deputy Maya and the other officer pat him down. The deputy from the front room escorts you through the maze to a set of chairs outside an office marked with the sheriff's name. Where you sit looks like you're waiting for the principal. Lacey takes out her phone and types away, and you stare around the office. The light hum of an air conditioner blocks out sound from speakers in the far corners of the room, though the light sounds of muzak pervade. Only a few minutes pass before the door opens to the sheriff's office, or before the door to the sheriff's office opens, and you're called inside. Sheriff Raymond Allister sits in a metal desk, holding a sandwich for a bite. Aside from papers covered in paperweights, a telephone yellowed with age, and a circular fan, the desk holds nothing else. Last year's calendar hangs on one wall, and filing cabinets take up much of the space behind him. A narrow window looks to Burns Road, and a dying potted plant sits on the ledge. If not for the title of sheriff on the door, you'd think you just walked into a prison cell. He places a sandwich on its splayed-out paper wrapper and chews in the corner of his mouth. Hello there, Mrs. Pendleton. Good to see you. I thought this meeting was just between the two of us. Oh, this is my friend Morgan. I hope you don't mind him being here, Lacey says. The sheriff shrugs and points to a pair of metal chairs with padded backs on the other side of his desk. You and Lacey take your seats. I'm sorry to interrupt your lunch, Sheriff. I know you don't have much time. Sheriff Ray adjusts his sandwich on the wax paper. So what's on your mind? Lacey turns to you and gives you a short nod, letting you know to go ahead. As you gather your thoughts, you catch sight of an odd shape from a hole in the far corner of the drop ceiling. It reflects light, and you suspect a camera has been installed. If the camera is active, anything you see to the sheriff may very well get back to Amanda. Ooh. Charisma, persuasion, manipulation. We're going to sound like completely concerned citizens. Do you think there's a connection between the deaths of Tyler Sanders and Royal Coleman? The sheriff slides his hand across the desk, grabs a pencil, and jots down a note on a legal pad. Why do you think they're connected? Well, Jericho Heights is a small town. When's the last time a child's gone missing? And the star of the football team has been found dead? Let's not forget Monroe Duncan went missing not long ago. Lacey looks at you, her eyes widening to a cartoonish level. She turns slowly toward the sheriff. Coincidences often appear as thin threads connecting events, Sheriff Ray says. The possibility of those three things happening in this town must be astronomical. I believe they're all related and someone's trying to cover it up, you say. The sheriff points at you and says, You're making dangerous accusations, and I'm done listening to this kind of conspiracy talk. I suggest you go before I lose my cool. Relationship with Sheriff Ray, -7. Night, Vito. Lacey looks over at you and nods ever so slightly. Let's go. She turns to the sheriff and says, Sheriff, thank you for your time. It didn't go well. On your way out of the sheriff's office, Lacey turns to you and raises her hand to stop you. Well, that didn't go the way I expected, she says. The sheriff wasn't much help. Maybe I was stupid for thinking it could go better in there. I just tried to get information out of him. But he just wouldn't talk. I did the best I could. Well, I'm still glad we went. Either Raymond knows nothing or he's hiding something. I think it's the latter. Anyway, I'm glad we went together, she says, digging her keys out of her purse. Relationship with Lacey +2. Well, you be safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow. Gallagher's Tavern, right? Yeah, I'll see you there. Lacey's car pulls up next to yours, and she waves through the window. After she's gone, you pull out your parking spot and return home. I should have just said flat out about, So you're working for Amanda Chastain, aren't you? Oh god, I think I'm about to... Oh lord, yep, that's happening. You step into the dark kitchen and pop on the lights. When the sun goes down in Jericho Heights, this area of the house goes pitch black. You fix yourself a can of soup you found tucked in the back of one of your grandfather's cabinets. He loved to cook and always prepared tasty meals in your younger years. As you grew older, he taught you to be self-sufficient and required you to make your own meals. Sometimes this meant heating up a can of soup. As you fill a bowl, you can almost see him standing on the side, shaking his head at your choice of dinner. I've got the best ingredients and cooking gear, and all I need is a can opener. The doorbell rings and awakens you from your daydream. Moving through the living room, you open the door and see Amanda Chastain standing at your front porch. A royal blue dress fits her perfectly and a long diamond necklace drips around her neck. She doesn't belong in Jericho Heights, but on the cover of a fashion magazine or on red carpet. Her hair, artfully curled and swept to the side, looks like a painting of sunlight, the irony of which is not lost on you. Oh, she looks, I have seen this actress before. Oh my god. She looks like Michelle Pfeiffer, but I know she's not. Man, okay, that's gonna bug me. She lights up at the sight of you with sparkling eyes and a full smile. Well, hello. Finally, we meet. As you probably know, I'm Amanda Chastain. Sorry to just stop by, but I figured it was time for us to chat. May I come in? I have a feeling that's a rhetorical question, but sure. Come on in. She smiles and walks into the middle of the living room. As you close the door, you spot a black Mercedes parked on the curb with J-Field in the driver's seat. I've heard you've kept busy this first week in town. Rumor has it you've been asking questions about me, but I know you've been distracted with opening the store and getting caught up with your friends. She stops by a window facing the street and runs her fingers down the slats of the blinds. Hmm. Well, it sounds like you've been asking about me too. You some kind of stalker? Sure, I'm joking with her, but I'm also serious. She throws her head back and laughs. Well, I've been known to wear my heart on my sleeve, but I follow all people of interest, especially new people in town. I want to get to know who's friendly and who's, well, not so much. She glides across the room, touching the leaves of a houseplant and running her fingertips along the wall. I realize this meeting comes as a surprise. You must be thinking, why is Amanda Chastain standing in my living room? You see, I keep track of a lot of things in this town, especially the people. In a way, I'm like your grandfather, who took a great responsibility in looking after the affairs of Jericho Heights and all those who live here. Whatever rumors float around town are wildly untrue. People say things out of jealousy or boredom. I know even of a little girl who calls me the V word. Huh. Some rumors are true. She pauses for a moment and then says, I'm sure you're aware I'm a vampire. It's taken great effort in keeping others from learning my true nature, but you've discovered it. And what of it? Doesn't everyone have a dark secret? Would you like to ask me a question? Go ahead. But just one. Well, the problem with that is, like, I don't know if the power exists in current VTM, but in old VTM, Toreadors had Auspex. That was one of their clan disciplines. And one of their abilities was called the Spirit's Touch. And it didn't cost any blood to use, if I don't recall. Or if I recall correctly. But they can just touch something and get a psychic resonance off of it. They know who's been in the, like, who's touched it, who's interacted with it. And they can see things. Like, a lot of Toreadors are very touchy because of that ability. Man, okay, we can ask one question. Like, we already know she drank our blood. We know that was probably her on the roof of Bleak Rest House. I'm not fascinated by vampirism. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to be an immortal. I'm looking for, like, legit intel. We have a pretty good chance seeing Gabriel outside during the day that he's the Renfield, so we don't need to know that. Did you drink blood from Lacey Pendleton? So, here's the thing. I'm curious about what the lady with the hook hand was all, or the lady who was missing a hand was all about at Lacey's house. Like, that just kind of came out of left field, so... My question is about drinking blood from Lacey, or if she's the only vampire in Jericho Heights. The doctor could be feeding the caitiff. Yeah, that's a good shout, Kath. That'd definitely at least have their backup supply when they couldn't feed. What do you guys think? I'm considering it, asking about whether she's the only vampire or asking if she fed for Lacey. Because if she says no, and she comes off as believable, there's something else going on, especially with her little girl. We could also ask about Tyler Sanders. The Lacey one seems interesting to me. Now, I hope that's just not a story thread that kind of just disappeared, you know what I mean? Let's do this. Did you drink blood from Lacey Pendleton? I care for Lacey and I want to know if she's a recurring target for Chastain. Oop. Chastain clicks her teeth. I hadn't expected such a private question. How is that private? If you assume I fed on the woman, then you're asking me to reveal elements of our personal affairs. I share a bond with anyone I feed upon, and I treat that bond like a priest would with a parishioner. It's an intimate moment that cannot be shared. I hope that makes sense. She sits on the edge of the couch and crosses her legs and leans back on one hand. Come, sit. Please. Let's talk. Oh God, she's doing the thing. You step over to an armchair across from her and sit. All right. What's up? So eager. I love it. She says, and her expression changes. The cheerfulness washes away and her jaw clenches. She reminds you of a physician ready to give bad news. I need a favor, and you are the only one who can help me. We don't know each other well, but I hope to change that, and maybe this favor can bring us closer together. Okay. She leans forward on her knees, drawing in even closer. A scent of orange blossom and melon floats off of her. A group of vampires has descended upon this town and threatened to destroy it. They're young and brazen and dangerous. They're motivated by the beasts inside of them, driven by their hunger for blood. I don't say these things to frighten you, but to make you aware of the monsters lurking in Jericho Heights. I cannot find them on my own. This is where you come in. I would like you to find them and arrange a meeting so that I can reveal myself to them as the protector of this town. Will you do this for me? Will you do this for Jericho Heights? Yeah, they couldn't take her on. Oh. Yeah. Res. And awareness. Oh man, I've got a resolve and awareness of 6. Let's do this. And what will you do at this meeting with the young vampires? How will you convince them to leave Jericho Heights alone? Chastain sits back on the couch and smooths out a wrinkle in her dress. She stares at you for a moment like she's judging you. I don't like how they're acting in Jericho Heights. I believe they're destructive killers who prey on the weak. Whatever some may think about me, I only have the best in mind for this town, and I don't want to see its citizens treated like animals waiting for slaughter. So you're going to tell them to leave town, or something more permanent? Chastain places her hands on her chest and gasps at your words. I'm not going to kill them if that's what you're suggesting. I could never do such a thing. I protect this town, but I'm no murderer. For them to remain, they must be respectful of those who live in Jericho Heights, harm no one, and abide by the rules of this community. If they have a problem with that, they can go feed somewhere else. I hear the Northeast is lovely this time of year. I'm sure they'll be receptive to you. I hope so. I see no reason all of us can't coexist, and maybe even become friends. So you mentioned knowing my grandfather. Was he trying to help you as well? Her eyes get expansive, almost like they're twinkling. No, your grandfather and I did not have that type of relationship. It was strained at times, and at other times we were the best of friends. I was truly sad to hear of his passing. I wish we had reconciled before the end. You know, in life I had a grandmother who I loved dearly. I learned from her all the feminine domestic arts like cooking, knitting, and homemaking. But she also taught me to be confident and fearless, how to tell if a person is truly good, and gave me the drive to be independent. Alas, she died when I was 14 years old. Now, the death of a beloved caretaker is misfortune enough for a young woman, but a few weeks before her death, we got into an argument. Both of us were too stubborn to apologize to the other. When she died suddenly, I was heartbroken. What's worse, I never had the opportunity to make amends. Those last few weeks, she was cold to me, and I returned the sentiment. It was petty and foolish. She was my grandmother, and I loved her. I never should have let my pride get in the way of reconciling with her. Now, I didn't love your grandfather as I did my gran, but when he died, I felt a tinge of that same shame and regret as when she died. I sort of had that relationship with my grandfather, but it was more complicated. I could never really figure him out. I felt like he was always testing me, testing my loyalty to him. It was like I could never live up to some standard he set. After he died, I feel like he's testing me again. He left me this house and this store, and what do I know about taking care of either one? Chastain leans forward and holds your hands. Her touch is as cold as ice. Don't ever question your grandfather's love for you. He loved you more than anything and anyone. Believe me, I know he did. Thanks for saying that. I know he loved me, and I guess that's all that should matter. She lets your hand slip back to your lap, and she sits back on the couch. You think about her words for a moment. She knew your grandfather much more than you realized. They had a strange relationship. How will that affect your relationship with her? You can't imagine why she would hold any ill will toward you based on old arguments with your grandfather, but now the thought's in your mind. Okay, so this is actually very interesting to me because, like, I'm looking at the math here and I'm gauging threats, all right? In my head, I'm trying to think tactically here. You've got Jessica Chastain, who is a Toreador, who, and I'm using out of character knowledge for this, but just bear with me. Toreadors are the kindred clan that are most in tune with their humanity. That's why they're honestly the most tragic. I know I used to rib them back in the day, but the truth is, they're the ones that can still, like, easily fall in love and get enraptured by something, and then their nature of being a vampire destroys it. So they have to deal with that process more than other vampires may have to do so. So I'm wondering if it was kind of not a mentor-student kind of thing, but more like a sheriff-outlaw situation of, hey, you can stay here in this town, but I'm going to keep watch on you. And you know what? It's something like that. And I think about this, and I think of the fact that no one really has died, other than, I'm pretty sure all of these runaways have probably been killed by the Youngbloods. So my initial impulse also could be the fact that she lies, because vampires lie. But I'm just basing on the information. I'm more in tune to side with Chastain than with the Thin Bloods. I don't know. At least she's not going out in the woods and killing kids. She's fed from me. She had the potential of killing me. If she fed from Lacey, she just fed from Lacey. She's doing everything in terms. She's basically being a textbook Masquerade follower. I don't know. Let's get as many questions as we can out of here before we have to make a decision. Can you tell me about yourself? Where you came from and how you became a vampire? Path of Knowledge +7. Chastain smiles coldly. That's getting a bit personal. We've only known each other for a short time, and some things are left explored once we know each other better. I mean, I could ask you many questions about yourself, your life in Chicago, relationships, past loves, How about this? Once this thing with the young vampires is settled, I'll have you over for dinner. Gabriel's a wonderful cook. We can get to know one another in greater detail. And how does that sound? Yeah, she didn't even answer the question about Lacey. So I'm going to tell them. What do you guys think I should do? Like, you should never use the have over for dinner thing. That's very Bela Lugosi. Should we just go ahead and end the conversation now? Or should we tell her that we've met the young vampires already to try and, you know, get that advantage? I don't think she wants to protect the townspeople. She wants to protect her livestock. Of course. She already knows. Why else would she approach you? That's true. So what do y'all think? You like, Kath, you like the one of telling her about them and it's getting her to lower her guard? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. She knows, I mean, she knows already. We'll just go ahead and get a few brownie points. I've met the young vampires already. I'll tell her about my meeting with them only to make her trust me. When she lowers her guard, I'll have an advantage against her. Haha! Relationship with Chastain plus 17. Good God. She claps her hands together and her eyes grow wide. You have! Wonderful. I knew you were the right person to help me. Do you mind telling me how you met them? What they said to you? What they want from you? Sorry for all the questions, but this is exciting news. Now, also, you have to realize the old guard hate the Thin Bloods. The Thin Bloods are literally walking reminders of the end times. Composure and subterfuge. Oh, I've only got 4. Crap. All right. About the meeting, but not their motives or where we met. If I tell her everything, she may have no more use for me. Cynical plus 10, conniving plus 10. You tell her about the meeting in Long Valley Park, but not the exact location. You must already know about Monroe, so you tell her you met with the young vampire and several of her companions, but were not introduced to them. So why do you think they approached you? Did they tell you what they want? She asks. No, they just mentioned knowing my grandfather and taking an interest in me. They were vague and wouldn't answer my questions. Amanda's eyes turn inward as she says, Are you sure that's all they said? You're not hiding anything? Relationship, what's money's for? No. As confused as you are. I end my conversation with Chastain. I don't want to say I've started tracking the young vampires around Jericho Heights. I say that's... Whoop. Chastain unfolds her legs. She glances at the clock on the wall and says, I'm really enjoying our conversation, but I have plans for this evening and I don't want to be late. I still don't have an answer to my question. Are you willing to help me with the young vampires? Manipulation and subterfuge. So should we go with the manipulation and subterfuge, or will we say I can't commit to anything and need time to think about it? That's true. That's fair. I can't commit to anything, and I need time to think about it. Inquisitive +4. Chastain nods her head and stares at you thoughtfully. I completely understand. It's wise to think things over before giving an answer. Please remember you're not just helping me, but all of Jericho Heights. Feel free to think it over for a few days and then give me a call or stop by my house to tell me your decision. Whatever it is, I'll respect it. She rises and smooths out her dress. Thank you for speaking with me tonight. I really enjoyed visiting you. I'm really hoping you'll help me. I doubt I can find the young vampires without you. So once you've made your decision, please call me. She takes out a calling card and places it on your end table. Without another word, she walks to the door and only stops to turn and smile before walking outside. You step to the window at the front of the house and watch her car pull away. You happen to glance through the back window and spot gray shapes lying on the ground in the alley. You walk outside and move closer, only to see Lamb catching up to meet you. I was ready to leave for the day and whoa, he says. The two of you crouch by the objects and you see the unmistakable slender tail of rats. 5 of them lie in a neat pile on their backs, heads pointed toward the door, their eyes open. That's creepy, Lamb says. They don't look injured, as if someone poisoned them. They wouldn't be all pointing in the same direction. You take out a pen from your backpack and push around the rats. Rigor mortis has set in, causing their limbs to be stiff. You see no signs of trauma nor any blood or signs of an animal eating them. Digging around with the pen, you spot only puncture wounds behind the neck of the first one you inspect. Checking each, you find the same 2 holes in each one. Did a vampire drink their blood? I hate rats. Dirty creatures. I'm going back inside to lock up. Good night, boss. Lamb stands and heads back into the store. Without much ado about the rats, you follow after him. I assume that those rats are probably Jace, if he's not feeding from people. Well, I guess man, I would like to find out who's working for Chastain to remove any trace of her on the internet. But we need to, how many Thin Bloods on? I think there were 5. We need to go to Lobo's wellness clinic because of the thing. As you drive through the north end of town, you see dozens of people working in an open lot, setting up large wooden stands, hanging signs and banners, constructing booths. Trucks line one end of Red Tree Road. A small crane hoists a piece of lumber onto the ground from a flatbed. A young woman walks by your car carrying a basket. Across her shirt hangs a slash reading. It could be a message, but it also, if you think about it, it's me, Salem, Adam, Marcus, Lacey. 5 Thin Bloods, 5 would-be hunters. Not a good sign. Across her shirt hangs a sash reading Summer Festival Volunteer. You continue past the lot and park your car next to the wellness clinic. You don't have an appointment here, and with the doors requiring you to be buzzed in, you're not sure how you'll get inside. As you're thinking of a way to enter the building, the front door swings outward as an older woman struts out. You catch the door and hold it for her. She rewards you with a smile, and you walk into a packed waiting room. Patients sit on every chair and bench, and several squeeze together on the couch. A whiteboard hangs from the receptionist's desk. Blood work wait time, 75 minutes. Walking down the hallway, you pass the gym and hear the clang of metal weights as patients work out with physical therapists. Jazz music drones through the speaker system on repeat until it crackles and a voice cuts through it. Dr. Lobo, line 7. Dr. Lobo, line 7. You continue through the clinic, noticing the perfect hardwood floors and smooth-paned navy blue walls. Art prints hang every 5 feet, making the place look like an upscale hotel more than a doctor's office. Track lighting keeps the place aglow, and the deeper you walk, the warmer it feels. You notice a light layer of sweat on your skin, and when you look down, your veins have popped to the surface, ready for the phlebotomist's needle. At the end of the hallway sits the room labeled Blood Lab. When you peek around the corner, you spot another hallway with a line of people waiting to go into an unlabeled room. All hold white slips and wear plastic medical bracelets. As you stand at the blood lab, a gray-haired woman walks out of the far room past the waiting line. A wad of gauze sits in the crook of her arm, and as she walks by, she stops and smiles at you.
Oh, hello, Morgan. Remember me? Silly Jenkins, I shopped at your store the other day. Funny seeing you here.
Something like that. Looks like everybody in town is here today. Mrs. Jenkins looks back at the line down the hallway and wobbles.
Oh, I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Yes, ever since they closed the other doctor's office in town, this is the only place to get your blood work done unless you want to drive to Aurora. Well, I better go. My niece is picking me up. You have a lovely day.
Now that you're alone again, you step up to the blood lab. It's locked and a camera points at the door from the ceiling across from it. Ooh. My intelligence is only 2. Ints plus science and technology, which I... Oh, wait, I have 5. I have 5. Okay, we're gonna go for it. Whoop. You have a general sense of the layout of the wellness clinic. On your left, a dozen or so patients line up for a lobotomy room. Offices and exam rooms also sit that way. Venturing straight past this area, you spot a break room and take a peek inside. It's spacious, with wooden tables and hardback chairs, Keurig coffee makers. Bleh, Cuisinart is way to go. And a restaurant-side stainless steel refrigerator and rows of high cabinets. You see no one inside, and on the other end sits an open door. From this distance, you see computer terminals. Crossing through the room, you peek into the computer room. Unlike the rest of the wellness clinic, it's sparse, with a plain metal desk and several monitors with displays in the clinic from various angles. The live feed shows a constant stream of patients and, all moving about. It reminds you of viewing fish in an aquarium. You sit in the only chair and swing up the keyboard stand. You're unfamiliar with the software running, but you move through the menu, searching for camera controls. You navigate down long columns of commands and try various keystrokes to return to the main menu, but all you achieve is frustration. Whoever designed this system must have had a sadistic sense of humor. After 10 minutes of going in circles, you hear voices in the break room. You stand from the desk and glide to the side doorway to peek around the corner. You see the backs of 2 people walking out. The coffee machine hums and powers down. This was too close a call, and you're having no luck with the camera software anyway. You leave the break room and walk back to the blood lab to try something else. We don't have any clandestines, so... Should we talk to Dr. Lobo or just do our pickup? Or should we talk to Lobo and then do our pickup? I don't know if that's going to give us that option. You make those folks wait longer? Sure. Let's find Dr. Lobo. After seeing the waiting room and all the people in line to have their blood drawn, you need to speak with Dr. Lobo. You walk down the hallway past the line of patients until you see the offices. As you near her office door, you hear your name from behind and turn to see Dr. Lobo striding towards you. Another woman in a long white lab coat follows behind her. "I'll be with you in a moment," she says to you and turns to the other woman. "Dr. Wang, will you check on the patient in room 2, please, while I talk to this patient?" The other doctor nods and walks away. Dr. Lobo pulls you into her office and closes the door behind her. "Here for your pickup? Did Susan not bring it to you?" "Why are all of these people here, Doctor? Are you really taking all of their blood for medical reasons?" Inquisitive +4. Dr. Lobo's lips purse in a strange way, like she's simultaneously smiling and frowning. "They all require tests related to their health. This is a doctor's office, and we do doctor things here." Like, look, normally I'm all about the sarcasm, but this is a pretty serious looking operation you have going on here. I've been to doctor's offices before and have never seen this many people at once having their blood drawn at one time, especially in a town this size. Dr. Lobo pinches the bridge of her nose and looks down for a moment. She takes a few deep breaths, looks back up at you, and says, "You're jumping to conclusions on subjects you know nothing about. People come here for medical treatments, and often my best diagnostic tool is a blood test. We don't have many of the technologies common in large cities like Chicago, so we rely on simpler methods of diagnosis. I assure you, we are only taking what we need. In addition, many of these patients have no health insurance, and we provide this testing at no cost to them. I'm telling all of this, though it's none of your business, and frankly, this conversation upsets me. Now, is there anything else?" Ooh. Decisions. I'm the moral compass, right? Yeah, I'm the moral compass. With all these people having their blood drawn, it's like you're farming them. This has to stop. Impulsive and domineering. Ooh. Dr. Lobo raises an eyebrow. Her jaw tenses for a moment, but relaxes as she says, "That's a disturbing accusation." She leans against the door, crosses her ankles, and fixes her eyes on you with an intensity that borders aggressive. "You may believe what you want to believe. The city, the state, and those who license our practice would all disagree. We're drawing blood samples from our patients and analyzing them for medical care. If you disagree with that statement, I encourage you to take it up with the proper authorities. Of course, any claims made against my clinic will be answered by my team of attorneys. Such accusations may injure the reputation of my business, and I would be forced to take action against anyone who makes such claims. My business partner may also seek action against you, though her methods may be more inventive than mine." A chill goes through your body and the tiny hairs of your arms stand up. Dr. Lobo seems to be waiting for an answer. "So you say?" "I won't tell anyone about your operations," I say, "though I plan to destroy this place." Conniving +9. Woo! Dr. Lobo smiles darkly. "Very well, that would be best for everyone. And since you have no reason to be inside this room or anywhere else on the premises, you may leave my clinic. I believe Dr. Farber is still seeing patients if you require a primary physician for your medical care." Relationship -9. She holds the door open and you walk into the hallway. She doesn't follow you, and you hear the door close and lock behind you. The line of waiting patients now wraps around the corner, pushing you away from the office. You continue down the hall and into the waiting room. I did not pick up that package. Oh well. Now that you're done at the wellness clinic, you hop back in the Red Beast and drive home. You check the time, which reads 10:36 p.m. You're more tired than you've ever been, and though there's still much to be done in Jericho Heights, you can't stay awake. As you move the staircase to head to bed, you hear a knock on the door, and opening it, you see Salem. "Hey there. Everything all right? Come in," you say and step to the side. She walks in, pauses by your side, and leans in with a kiss. Her lips feel soft, but they press hard against yours, and her hands touch the sides of your face. You bring your arms around her and run your fingers up and down her back. When she pulls away, she says, "I don't want to be alone tonight." She slips from your arms and walks upstairs. Halfway up, she takes off her shirts and lets it drop to the steps. When she reaches the second floor, her pants have come off. You follow the trail of clothing all the way to your bedroom. When she reaches your bed, she flings her bra across the room playfully. She slips under the covers and turns to you with an inviting smile. You strip off your clothes and climb into bed next to her. Immediately, her lips press against yours and her hands rub your chest as she rolls you onto your back. Her hair falls around you, and you touch her body, exploring each curve and valley and peak. And when it happens, everything comes as naturally as you thought of. Yep. Of pleasuring her for so long and played out this moment 100 times. Oh, good timing, Daka. By the top of the stairs, Hex has made a bed out of Salem's pants. Yes, I am starting a new career as a smut reader. Absolutely. Hey, Morgan got snoo. Good times. I was kind of worried about this, though, because you would read the thing, like, I would just think about from Morgan's point of view, opening and reading that book that was said that vampires can change their form and look like anyone. And then, boom, there's this. That would be my like, can I see some ID? You dated a Morgan in high school, so that makes this even more surreal? Gotcha. Chapter 10. All right, guys. Now, like I said, I believe that there's 12 chapters to this story, and we have no more opportunities to spend experience points. Experience is now gone. Now, the only resource that we really need to be paying attention to is our health and our willpower, because I think things are about to go down, and I'm not exactly sure which side Morgan's going to take in all of this. I guess we'll have to see. But we will go ahead and go into Chapter 10 in the next stream. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you haven't followed the Twitch channel, please do so. I try and stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays with random times in between. And if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, I have a link to the Twitch channel down below, so you can go ahead and drop a follow if you'd like. And also a link to my Extra Life page where I'm raising money for my local children's hospital via the Extra Life charity. So check out those links if you feel so inclined. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill there. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.